All right, folks. Today we got the story The Wire, HBO, The Big Leagues, Season 2. Okay? The Wire, Season 2. Now, people don't like the season. I don't get it. It was groundbreaking. Great season. My favorite season of The Wire. Maybe it's because I'm a white guy, right? Maybe it's because I'm white, you know? I like the seasons with all the black characters as well, though. So I don't like season three though. A lot of people say I like season three. I think Stringer Bell's character was misused. I think Stringer Bell could have been adapted better. The characters don't have much depth. The black characters, but that's a topic for another day. I get off track with these things. This video is sponsored to you by. see, I'm this much through. This is sponsored by Peroni. My Polish ass drinking the Sicilian whatever Milanese beer here. I like Peroni. It's a good, clean. I don't like cheap beer. I'll be honest with you. I don't like cheap beer. Bush, it tastes like urine. I don't care. I lived in Wisconsin. I tried it out. It's depressing to drink Bush. I do like imported beers. Anyway, we're having a bit of fun tonight. We're gonna talk about season 2, The Wire. I don't like to be so academic, but I did enough research. Let's bring up some characters. Nadia Marchenko, poor lady, or poor lady. I don't know. Creepy figure. I think she's gonna come running down the stairs any minute because she's out there somewhere. No one knows what she's doing. She got off scot free. An accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein. It's all over the news. I watched a video by Nick Crowley, who's a investigative sort of true crime spooky guy, and he did a pretty good video on Nadia Marchenko a few days ago. Hope I'm saying that right. But Avi Loop and Nadia Marchenko from Czechoslovakia. What does that have to do with The Wire? So, Jeffrey Epstein and The Wire. Here we go. Jeffrey, right? Jeffrey. Enough of him, right? I'm not sick of it. I think it's one of the most important news stories of the decade. It absolutely is the most, unless we get nuked or something. But anyway, brought to you by Peroni. Thank you. Yeah. Nadia was a girl from Czechoslovakia. Apparently, JE Entertainment bought Nadia from her father. This is apparently true. This is cited. I think she said so herself. She testified against him. He would go or have people go to the Eastern Bloc, former Eastern Bloc, and he would just buy women from poor families. Very sad stuff. And what does that have to do with The Wire season 2? It has a lot to do with it if you've seen the season. And you know what? I don't even have to explain it if you've seen season 2. You know exactly what The Wire season 2 has to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't have to explain this. Right? Slavic women, trafficking, literally trafficking, like not even as way more visually sort of grotesquely vulgar than a Jeffrey Epstein, in terms of Jeffrey would go through like college programs and like these kind of buyers, and I don't know, maybe it was this vulgar, but season 2 starts with a shipping crate of women from the Eastern Bloc. I'm not sure which country. I think it was Russia, and they're in this crate, and they're all dead because somebody jammed the lock on it and they couldn't get air. But they were literally shipping women, and that's the premise of season 2 of The Wire. It's nothing to do with the black characters, the neighborhoods of Baltimore. It's all about that, and it's all about the docks. Okay, it's really cool. In itself, season 2 is a great movie. It's like David Lynch's The Return or something. It's like an epic. Okay, I don't know how to describe this format yet, but it's a visual television epic. It's 10 hours long, 12 hours, whatever, 10 to 15 hours long, 18 hours long. Not a movie, better than a movie, way more in depth, but not as much of a drag as 50 hours of television. It's just 10 hours, kind of like David Lynch's The Return. So that's what The Wire season 2 is. It has nothing to do with the rest of The Wire. So it's about Epstein. Full stop. It's about Jeffrey Epstein. And it's written by a guy who sat on the desk at the paper in Baltimore. Okay. All you nerds know that. Okay. I'm probably preaching to a bunch of nerds here who already know more about the show than I do. Brought to you by Peroni. But, my friends, no one's connected these dots. Everyone's forgot about The Wire, but it's still on HBO. I only watched the show last year. And I'm thinking, wow, there's girls from Eastern Europe coming over. And the characters that tie this together, it could just be that. But what really puts it over the top, you know what I'm saying? This came from the city desk at the Baltimore Sun. So I don't know. Maybe this Simon character kind of knew about this kind of stuff, and he's kind of tight-lipped, as you would be. You're worried about the deep state coming to get you and all that. And yeah, it's scary to work at a paper, right? It's scary. You don't want to say the wrong thing, and you're in a river, right? But I'm saying if he clearly had some knowledge, because everything in the show is based in reality. They consulted with cops, so it's feasible to say that the cops knew there were girls coming in crates. There was human trafficking happening. But the villains in the show, they're not just your regular run of the mill sort of. The reason I keep stopping is I cannot ever get enough memory on this phone. So it's not a very fancy setup. Just got the phone going. Just got this little microphone. Anyway, brought to you by Peroni. So basically, the villains in season 2, they're white guys, okay? The crime is done by the white guys. It's not the black gangs, not the Hispanic gangs. It's the white guys, okay? And it kind of gets to this idea that the crime in America is coming from outside America, right? Okay. This is where it gets interesting. So, human trafficking, they're brought in by a guy called the Greek. It's said at the end of the show that he's not Greek, okay? He might be Russian, right? Who knows? Who cares, right? And that's kind of the point, is who cares? So, because he could be from anywhere. But this goes back to the Epstein thing, right? And Jeffrey Epstein's involvement with international people, right? And I have to preface it, this is not an anti-Semitic thing, right? And I hate that I have to say these kind of things, but I'm afraid to post, right? So I want to say that David Simon is Jewish, right? David Simon is a Jewish guy. And brought to you by Peroni. David Simon, as a Jewish American guy, right? He made the decision to put some interesting characters as the villains in this. And I think when you're talking about Epstein, it actually can help you understand how these networks develop multinationally to watch season 2 of The Wire. So you have a guy called the Greek. We're not sure where he's from. He might be from any of those countries, right? With not great relations to the U.S., not great surveillance, wouldn't tell the U.S., wouldn't tell the CIA very much, right? Czechoslovakia, uh, Hungary, Baltic, Albania. There's a lot of countries with white people that aren't very friendly, to the U.S. With a lot of poor people, yeah, they want to sell women sometimes. I don't want to put these countries down. These are beautiful countries. They're very civilized, and sometimes some of them have good relationships with the U.S. But Russia, it's always an enemy, right? Israel, right? So that's why I said the thing about David Simon, because he put this in the show. Okay, don't come after me. He put it in the show. He's a Jewish guy, right? There's an Israeli involved in the trafficking of these women. His name is Etan. So there's three or four guys involved. There's one guy is obviously Russian, Sergey, I think. There's the Greek who might be Russian, Greek. He's Baltic. Okay, let's call him a Baltic guy. It's just some old man, old white guy. A very obviously Greek guy. I mean, these are like Eastern Baltic more so and Israeli types. Okay, and that's important when you're thinking about Epstein and this stuff. And you get them and the Israeli guy. He's flat out says we have an Israeli guy who runs drugs for us multinationally, from Israel to Russia to Baltimore. Okay, and this is a guy who was in the newsroom learning everything about the crime in Baltimore, saying that, right? So when you think about Jeffrey Epstein, he's friends with the Israeli prime minister. He's friends with Roman Abramovich, whatever the Abramovich is. He's friends with everybody, right? He's friends with various Slavic country people procuring him things, right? And it's basically just season 2 of The Wire, right? Like it's an American Jewish guy who's tapped into this stuff, right? But it's basically just that. Like I'm thinking, and it goes above Epstein, right? Like Epstein would just be kind of like some dumb dock worker to these people. Not really, he'd be an associate, but these multinational things. There's a guy in Russia right now, like the top crime boss in Russia, and they just like let him walk around. I think he's like one of Putin's buddies. That's like the U.S., right? I mean, that's like us at this point. It's like if Capone came back, it'd be like Capone would go meet with Trump and they'd drink, they'd watch MMA together, right? So, I mean, that's how it is around the world, right? And that's what the show's trying to say. So these girls being trafficked, an Israeli. I'm not trying to throw Israel just under the bus because it does this very skillfully, right? The villain's not just Israeli; he's like the go-between. Okay, when you think about Israel, there's Jews who are Russian, lots of them. There's lots of American Jews, both Russian and American Jews, right? So the Epstein thing, a lot of theories about it are he was working kind of with Israelis, he's friends with the president of Israel, friends with very powerful Israelis, and also probably was working with Russia as well, right? So just blaming a nation because all these girls are coming from Russia, right? So, and who's he giving info to? He might not be giving info to a nation. That's kind of what season 2, if you talk to David Simon, right? He says that it's about multi extra national syndicates of crime, right? And it's extremely insightful to Epstein because it kind of says, the enemy is the devil itself. The enemy is, and I don't agree with this thing with not Chase Simon, where he's like, it's capitalism. Oh, if we were all communists, then none of this would happen. There'd still be multinational evil if there were communism, right? You're not going to stop the trafficking. Look at Beria in Russia. Like, it's. I don't think it's just it's either scapegoat capitalism or say it's the devil, which both of those are not ideal. So it's transnational evil. And I don't know if that's the devil. I don't know if it's capitalism, right? But that's what it is. And I just want to explain that. And the Israeli thing kind of said, "I'll just blame it all on Israel." But it is a problem. You can't deny that Israel is a problem um, to global peace at this point, right? You're just an awful person if you, yeah. I don't want to talk to people. No one, nobody really conscientious wants to talk to someone who's denying that at this point. And yeah, and sorry that memory issue came up. So let's just finish this little slideshow. Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, Israel is a pretty sketchy country. Um, you know, Russia. That's what I was gonna say. I try and be fair here. Russia, all those right wingers say Russia's good. Like, what do we have against Russia? The war of aggression, right? The war of aggression against little Ukraine, pretty bad stuff. I'm not going to defend Russia. I'll probably be hated by everybody for saying those two things, right? It's either you love Russia or you love Israel. I'm saying with this that you don't have to like either, right? And they're probably working together on a lot of things, Russia and Israel. That's my analysis of Epstein and of what you can find in season 2 of The Wire. That Russia and Israel, there's a lot of Israeli Russians. There's deep connections there, and it's it's likely that both were true. That Jeffrey was probably working with. I mean, I'm not basing this off of I'm gonna get browbeaten by some sort of you know Stasi Stasi inspector for saying anything remotely intellectual, but yeah, the thing I'm going off of is that Jeffrey was convicted in 2004 of being a pedo, soliciting a 14-year-old specifically in Florida. And in that investigation, the prosecutor in Florida said he was told to back off because he's intelligence. Okay. And that could include the U.S. I mean, here's another thing from season 2 of The Wire. The man who runs the drug and prostitution ring in Baltimore, the old Greek man, okay? The old Russian, whatever, Russian, Israeli, Greek, Baltic man, okay? The foreign man, he calls a buddy in the CIA, and the CIA says, you know what, guys, you can't pursue him. You got to get him out of the country. Baltimore PD, stand down. Don't go after this guy because he's too important to us. So Baltimore's fucked, right? Baltimore's done. We don't care. We're worried about what's happening in Estonia and Latvia, right? And Israel. So yeah, that happens in season 2, and this is by a guy who worked on the newspaper, saw all the news coming in Baltimore. So it's very interesting stuff. And when you apply that to reality, you can say, hey, maybe Jeffrey wasn't working with the Israelis. He's friends with the Prime Minister of Israel, though. That's a true fact. Maybe he wasn't working the Russians. The girls were coming from over there. But, so there's some evidence to all this. But maybe, the CIA said, hey, this guy knows a lot about everybody. Leave him alone for a while, right? The CIA, there's nefarious entities in our own government, and that's what these people are just above you, is basically the message of The Wire. They're above the local cops. That's what happened in Florida in 2004. So that's all there in season 2 of The Wire. And basically, these local cops try and solve this case about these girls brought over from Russia, and they run into this international crime syndicates of human traffickers. And it's a great season. It delves into like the doc culture. It has nothing to do with the whole Epstein plot, but yeah, I mean, just that stuff in a nutshell. It's very interesting to understanding the current time. So yeah, I suggest you look into it. It's a great season, and it really sets up timelessly for the current moment. and I think you might get a kick out of it. So I'm suggesting it.